Hi everyone, I'm Bill Holcomb and today we are painting a beautiful winter landscape in watercolor, which is perfect for beginners. No sketching is needed and I'll walk you through every step from mixing colors, when to change brushes, and what techniques to use. So let's get started. I start using my mop brush with some clear water over the sky area. Then I'm mixing up some Cobalt Blue and very weak because we don't want a competing sky on this occasion. We will be having that mountain peaks background. So make good use of the water that you've laid down, gradually getting thinner as you work your way down. Mop up the edges to avoid creep back and dry off, dries lighter. Still the flat brush and some clear water. And I'm following, as you see, there's no drawing involved in this painting, but I'm just roughly going where I want the mountain peaks to be, and then come down a little bit further from that. Then we've got Paynes Grey with a little bit of the Cobalt Blue, and follow the top of the mountain ridge, any shape you wish it to be. And then you'll slowly let the pigment creep down into the clear water, because we've basically have close to a misty bottom section of the mountain range. At the edges of the paper, you see, I prefer it if something like that is pointing upwards rather than down or flat. It's more interesting, feels more natural. Then you can go to a smaller brush, something like a number 6, get a stronger version of that mixture of Cobalt Blue and Paynes Grey, and just follow the top of the ridge, let that fuse in, as you can see. Today we're using Boahong 140-pound rough paper, taped around all sides. But they're Winsor and Newton paints, and a variety of makes for the brushes, but all around the medium price range, nothing expensive. Dry that off, dries light again, but you see we have a nice contrast at the top of the ridge of the mountain range and the sky. Then we want clear water again, because we're going to do another ridge, but this time with pine trees coming up from the top of that ridge. So clear water, you can use your number 10 brush. Then you switch to a flat brush, something like a half will do. And you can see the action I'm using here, using the edge of that brush like a chisel to indicate very tall trees in the distance, and have them varied, not too uniform, not the equal distance between each one, etc., etc. Have it as it is in nature, varied. Some joining others, some longer, some shorter, some darker, some lighter, etc. Much more interesting that way. And then smooth out the bottom. Smooth that into the clear water. And here and there, if necessary, strengthen up some, or make sure they're perpendicular enough, etc. Doesn't matter if they lean a little bit. The important thing here is, okay, we want a nice painting, but we're not aiming for a masterpiece. The important thing here is techniques. Then dry that off with a hairdryer. Now we're mixing up a reasonably dark version. And we're going to have two greens. We're going to have a light green and a darker green. So we've got some Winsor Yellow now being added. Clean off my mixing brush and then dig again into the Winsor Yellow. And here we have two versions. Now you can use one of your smaller brushes. I've got the number 6, and I'm laying down the basic shapes of these evergreen trees. It doesn't matter which type they are. If it's easier for you to do the trunks first, then do so. But later on, we'll be adding some light red to indicate some trunks. This is an underpainting of the trees, so much lighter. Later on, we'll darken those here and there. Now you have a choice. You can either continue with the darker on top, or you could dry off first with a hairdryer and then continue. I've just gone straight into it because I didn't lay too much pigment down first of all for the lighter version. As they go into the distance, you want them to be a little bit fainter. Now, as I mentioned, for the trunks or indications of them here and there, got some of that light red. That's about all we've used the light red for in this painting. Then the other side is a repeat of the process, so that's not shown on the tutorial, otherwise the video would take too long. Then we're laying down some clear water for the little stream. Once again, no drawing, so if you want to be sure as to where you've laid that water down, you could just hold your paper up towards the light, tilt it a little bit, and you can see the sheen of the water to remind you. So water, then the weaker version of the blue-grey. Then some of the stronger version. At the banks where we can see it overhang. So that bank closest to us, of course, we can't see the overhang. So we don't need the dark there. And just gently fuse that in. And now that little stream is taking up shape. Clean it up, dry it off with a hairdryer. Now I'm using the scraping technique, indicating some grasses peeping up through the snow near the tree lines. And you can see I've always got tissue to hand where I can take off any excess pigment and water. Or I can even dab with the tissue if too much has been laid down. Now we got various ridges in the snow on the sides where the banks are, coming down to the stream. We're a long way through the painting, just a few minutes to go. Once again using that scraping technique. Also dropping in dark colours here and there. And fusing in with water. Lift with tissue as necessary. Then strengthen up the banks here and there to show that overhang and good demarcation. and indicate with the side brush scraping technique a few little grasses peeping through the snow. Don't overdo it on that there. It won't look natural. You can shake them up accordingly if you wish. You want thinner stems, etc. A long way through now, just a couple minutes ago. Dry that off with a hairdryer. Then just little finishing touches here and there before we do some ripples on the stream. Get your flat brush, perhaps a quarter size, and you can see what I'm doing there with the darker mixture. Then you can finish off with a few birds in the sky, just to show a little bit of movement, activity, bring a bit of life to it. I always like to use an odd number and have them flying in different directions. I think you can learn a great deal from this, so I hope you give this one a go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.